And in order to do that, you're probably going to need to refer to the product RS-232 protocol document. So the MXA has something on the owner's manual, which we'll jump into in a moment. There's going to be some important information in there as far as the protocol of the device, how it communicates. Baud rate is the speed of the communication, or how many bits per second, for example. The pinout is also very important, letting you know which pins the RS-232 commands are received, or the response is transmitted on the device we're controlling. That's great. So typically 2, 3, and 5, just 3 pins are really used. And then, of course, the command data. What do the commands look like? And so as I scroll down in the owner's manual here, we see our commands for audio volume, SPO, which stands for, SP stands for signal processing output XX, so your output number 01 through 08, output 1 through 8. Audio volume, YY. YY is 00 through 99, so it's like a 100-point scale of your potential volume level for output XX. We have a mute, SPO XX, so output XX, audio video mute, enable disable toggle. So the AVM mute is PCM plus the analog audio, all 3 connections muted. And switching, to switch the digital and analog audio together, SPO, your output XX, select or switch to source YY, your input 1 through 8. Right? So let's go ahead and build this now. How do you build commands for a new device? File, new, the big blue plus. And you want to save it somewhere that is safe and away from our default directory. Why? Because when we go ahead and update to the new Compass software version, you might lose your work if you save it in that default directory. Occasionally we will wipe that library clean so that we could add our new code sets to it. I'm going to give it a name like Custom Key Digital Library. We tell it the brand that we're working with, the device type. This, of course, is an audio switcher, and the model number. Now we have that. Library name, the brand, the product category, and the device. And now we see we have no tabs here. We'll have only the one, common all. But this is an 8x8 matrix. It helps us to keep the library nice and tidy, and also helps us to understand things about the commands and the device rather, and attach the correct commands in places in our modular programming to provide the correct classification to units. If it's not anything like a matrix, you just probably, like if it's a monitor or something, there's going to be no outputs. Leave it as 0. The speed of communication, as we mentioned, is 57,600. But these are the device properties. So you might have devices as low as 1,200 bits per second, all the way up to 115,200. That's the range we support there. Additional protocol information, typically you got 8, none, and 1. Typically you don't have to mess around with that. Handshaking, what does handshaking mean? Well, some devices you can't just send it a command, can you? You have to ask it, are you ready to receive this command? And then it responds saying, yep, you're clear to send it. Some devices require that. Some devices require a carriage return, which is almost like a end of line. Some devices require a line feed at the end of each command. So because RS-232 actually comes from the days of form feed printers, when you had to say, this is the end of the line and begin a new line. And sometimes you need both of those things together, and one first or the other first. And in other cases, devices that are hex controlled, of course, we support, as we see here, ASCII, hex, and decimal formats. Some devices need checksums, which means they're different hex bytes, and you have to add and come up with a total as one of the bytes. So we support that, and we could automatically add that in for you, whether it be 8-bit or 16-bit, and all sorts of other terminators and automatic inserts that we support for your various devices. That over the years, of course, this has grown, and I'm sure something will come up in the future that requires a little bit more here as well that we could add in for you. Key digital devices actually do require a carriage return. They're ASCII format. We're going to enter the MC1000 here that we'd like to, when we actually get around to testing this, what port number and what IP address